All right. Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and as well as the men that taught them, and peace and blessings to all you Wakim out there who pushing his word with truth and sincerity, and as well as to all you believers out there who believe in the gospel. And it's the brother Korah Abad from the GMS Houston camp. And I want to go into another lesson, and Lord willing, it do be edifying. And what I want to speak on, I was, scrolling through the news, and I seen this quick article, that I touch on because it's, a part of prophecy, in which, not just particularly speaking on what we about to go into, how Trump's saying that the military is building this large complex beneath the White House. Right, he's supposed to build a ballroom, but he's saying beneath the ballroom, they're going to build a big military complex, And the first thing that came to mind is how the scripture says at the end, when the Lord will begin to judge this world, you was going to have the rulers of this current world, these Edomites, the kings, rulers, rich men, right, going to these bunkers. You see, going to the ground, going to mountains to try to hide from their judgment, to try to hide from their judgment, and because eventually things go get out of their power, out of their control. Just like Pharaoh in Egypt. He had these Egyptians mimic Moses and Aaron after a few plagues, but eventually it got too much for him. You see, to where it was out of his control, man. He couldn't control the people no more, to fear the people. Well, the same thing that's about to happen to Esau. It really is happening. He's gonna lose control of the people, lose control of the narrative. The working class go eventually revolt, as it's saying Job. The Imal, the working class go eventually revolt on the rulers. 2nd Ezra 15, how they not gonna regard the kings and princes no more. Well, at this point in time, you gonna have these rulers like the World Economic Forum leaders, all these leaders who've been propped up on the TV and tell you what's going on, what's the new policies for the coming year in 2030 agenda, right? These type of people who are cheating the citizens, they gonna be the ones running for their life. And this is just a quick example of it, and especially he said the military, But let me read it real quick. It was put out yesterday from End Time Headlines, and I got a quick video I'll play. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and play I'll read the article real quick and we can play the video. It says, why is the U.S. military building a massive complex beneath the White House ballroom? President Donald Trump said Sunday the U.S. military was planning to construct a large complex beneath the new ballroom he is building at the White House. The military is this is what he said. The military is building a massive complex under the ballroom that's under construction, and we're doing very well. So we're ahead of schedule. It says Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One. He also said as part of it, the ballroom essentially becomes a shed for what's being built under it. So the ballroom gonna be small, compared to what this gonna be. It's gonna be able to house a lot of people. And the scriptures also say that Esau gonna have to have servants in there. These elites ain't gonna be in the bunkers, fixing their own food, right? Ruling over themselves. But he said the information about the plan had come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit. Last October, the former real estate developer had an entire wing of the White House bulldozed in order to build a vast ballroom to host receptions and dinners. Right? It says, we're using onyx and stones that are incredible, so on and so forth. So, but the point is they're building under, but why? And we seeing so many things, even, grand events, things that's taking place right now, big, huge prophecies like, major prophecies like the MOTB, World War III. We're seeing things like that is ramping up, being spoken about more, but also, minor prophecies as far as like I seen Elder Yashawama video, how you got fishermen and farmers, they mourning right now, right? That's a part of prophecy, Also a part of prophecy, it said the elites was going to eventually go inside of bunkers. Well, we reading that they building them. They ain't got to just say an underground doomsday bunker. No, they telling us. But let's go ahead and play this quick video.
Because
It says Trump exposes secret
We've had
military
regime
bunker
change, if you
underground.
look already, because the one regime was decimated, destroyed. They're all dead.
And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna play the video. The people probably didn't even want him to come out and say that about the bunker, because a couple weeks ago, he said some information that wasn't supposed to be put out, right? And he slipped out. And also, you had one occasion when Marco Rubio was sitting on side of Trump in the White House, and Marco Rubio wrote on a note, pretty much telling Trump something that was supposed to be between him and Trump read it out loud instead of keeping it to himself. He read it out loud, right? So maybe it wasn't supposed to, they ain't want nobody to know about this bunker. You see, it had the information out there that's gonna be under this ballroom. But hey, they've been saying he got dementia, right? The scripture in 2 Ezra 9 say you can have unstable leaders and confused rulers, just blurting out the plans. Let's go ahead and play it though.
The next regime is mostly dead, and the third regime, we're dealing with
Right here, he talking about Iran.
different people than anybody's dealt with before. It's a whole different group of people. The regime that was really bad, really evil, was the first one. That was done. The second was appointed, and they're gone. They're all dead, other than one who may have a little life in him. And then there really are the third group. And the third group of people that seem to be much more reasonable. It truly is regime change. And regime change is an imperative. But I think we have it automatically. I did something today. We just got these in from the architects. A lot of people are talking about how beautiful the ballroom is. For 150 years, they've wanted to build a ballroom at the White House. And other presidents have wanted it. When we have dignitaries coming like President Xi of China or anybody else, we have very small rooms. They're not big enough to handle the kind of capacity that you need. And this is the same height as the White House. It's an incredible fitting. You see what that is, right? Nice. I'll show you. Here's another view. This is coming from right opposite the Treasury building. Beautiful Capitol, beautiful building. I think it'll be the finest ballroom of its kind anywhere in the world. A lot of people are giving it really good reviews. Some are giving it reviews without even seeing the building, because this just came out today. These pictures were just made today. It's also capable of handling the inauguration. We have all bulletproof glass. We have drone-proof roofs. Ceilings, everything's drone-proof and bulletproof. Now the military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building a massive complex under the ballroom, and that's under construction, and we're doing very well. So we're ahead of schedule. It's part of it. The ballroom essentially becomes a shed for what's being built under the military, including from drones, and including from any other thing. The glass on the windows, you see the big windows, the glass is extremely thick. It's high-grade bulletproof glass. So all of the windows are bulletproof.
You see that? And this Nero, he building up at the end, you know? Building up at the end, he telling you it's bulletproof, drone-proof, all this, right? Because they preparing for something to hide out. Let me get this real quick, and this shouldn't be a long lesson. Just want to kind of highlight that I seen it. This Revelation 6, and I'm gonna start at verse 13. It says, "Then the stars." Let me see what I'm reading. KJV or NLT? All right, it's the NLT. Revelation 6, and verse 13 in the NLT. It says, "Then the stars of the sky fell to the earth like green figs falling from a tree, shaken by a strong wind," going into those missiles falling. It says the sky was rolled up like a scroll, and all the mountains and islands were moved from their places. And it's going into the end times we in, man. Now you go have these people, they ain't just going to the bunkers the day the missile shot off. You know, some people might. You know, like I seen a movie a while back. I forget what movie it was. I forget what movie it was. It was like a movie like in the 80s or something, maybe 70s, maybe 80s. But it was a military movie, and it was guarding the president or something, like I forget. And then but the day missiles was shot off, I'm trying to remember. Is it the day the world stood still? something like that. But missile was shot off, and you had those military men who was watching over the president. But military men, at the end, when they heard the alarms, they try to hurry and run to the bunkers. They try to hurry and run to the bunkers when they heard them alarms going off when those missiles shot off. So it may be some people go hide on that day, but a lot of them go into the bunkers during Jacob's trouble when all hell is broken loose, man. But let's read it. It says, then everyone, verse 15, then everyone, the kings of the earth, the rulers, the generals, see, military people, generals of armies. It says the generals, the wealthy, the powerful, and every slave and every free person, because they're going to have servants under there. It says all hid themselves in the caves and among the rocks of the mountains, and they cried to the mountains and rocks, saying, fall on us, hide us from the face of the one who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who is able to survive? And none of them go survive. Let me get this one real quick. Isaiah 2:9, and it's in the NLT. It said 2:19. It says, when the Lord rises to shake the earth, his enemies will crawl into the holes in the ground, right? Underground bunkers, right? Or massive military complexes under ballrooms. Same thing. It says his enemies, right, starting with Esau, Edom, will crawl into the holes of the ground. They will hide in the caves and the rocks from the terror of the Lord and the glory of his majesty, man. And that's in 2 Ezra 16, how it says, I think in Luke, one of them, how the powers shall stand in fear. Let me look that up. 2 Ezra 16. Check this out. I think this is it. This 2 Ezra 16. Like I said, with Pharaoh early, eventually things gonna get out of their control, man. 2 Ezra 16 and verse 18, it says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars. See, Jacob's trouble was starting. The beginning of wars, and the powers, the elites, the rulers, and the powers shall stand in fear. Things go get out of their control. Just like it said in Isaiah 47, those same the witchcraft, sorcery that you once used to work on people back then ain't gonna work no more, man. It says, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils, and what shall I do when these evils come? So they will stand in fear, and they go run. They go run, try to save their life, extend their life. You're gonna have a lot of these celebrities, war generals, lesser luminaries like I said, celebrities, whether it's actors, whatever it is, they gonna buy their way into certain bunkers. They're gonna try to buy their way, or have, if like Kourtney Kardashian, whatever Kardashian, she built her own bunker. It's a promise. Most of these people ain't gonna make it to them. They just go die doing one of these plays in Jacob's trouble. But as we read in prophecy, you're gonna have some people who gonna have to make it to these bunkers and be in there with servants and everything, food, thinking they about to survive the apocalypse and missiles and all that to fulfill the prophecy. But eventually we know the Lord was gonna send his elect to grab them out of those underground bunkers, man. And then they gonna have to begin their captivity as we begin the kingdom of heaven on earth under Yahweh Shai. Let's get this real quick after we come out the chariots. Jeremiah 16:16, it says, behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them. And that's what we're doing now. Pushing this word out. And the word is the truth, is the hook. And as we pushing this word out, it's going to catch, fish and catch the elect, once they hit his word. So that's what we doing now. But eventually, once we get saved, it ain't going to be, we ain't got to preach no more. What's going to be next? It says, and after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. We're going to go get these elites and all these other heathens, you see, from out the holes of the rocks, put them in chains and bring them to Yahweh Shai, man. You see, and you're going to have some Israelites up in there who have been servants, and when they see the power, they might just drop down and believe. Who knows? Mercy may be showed to them. That's in 2 Ezra 13. How once Yahushua come off the chair, win World War I and II, you're going to have people being brought to him in chains, people being brought to him in fear, some people being brought to him and was thankful, and some people being brought to him and was happy. But we focusing on those who try to hide, and the Lord will have them being drug out them holes and put in chains. Let's get that real quick, because after we hunt them, we're going to put them in chains. This Psalms 149, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, praise ye the Lord, sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of the saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him, and let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people, he will beautify the meek with salvation. So this is after we get saved, right? And it goes on to say, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. Here it is, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. These people going in captivity. And think about that. These elites, the Rothschilds, Rockefeller, DuPonts, Gettys, and Vanderbilts, all these rich elite families, what's the other one name? Massini family, something like that. But the thing is, they went their whole life for generations, never had to pick up trash, always not silver spoons. We talking about gold spoons, right? Some of them probably got the gold spoons and stuff from the temple in Jerusalem today. See, these people never had to work, never had stress or pressure ever like that. And from one day you ruling the world until the next day, couple of days you in chains and gotta serve these niggas, Hispanics, and Native Americans who just turned into super beings, Now you gotta work for 1,000 long years. That's gonna be a drastic change for these people, man. From one day you ruling over everything, having all the prized possessions, the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above, to you working for your slaves and who was once your slaves. Because right side going to be up, not upside down like it is now. Right? And we going to rule you, man. These people ain't ready for that. That's why they trying to hide from their judgment by going into rocks, by trying to go into space stations, by trying to go underwater. But they can't. You can't hide from the Lord, man. And that's what this world have forgot. And I've been wanting to do a lesson on that. This world have forgot. Since you go buy guns, right? Esau, since he could lie to people on this media, right? Since people could run and hide from people in this world, people who want to judge you in this world, the thing is, a lot of people forgot about divine judgment. Just because you got a gun ain't gonna stop divine judgment. Just because you a patriotic Americans got cabinets filled with guns don't mean you ready for Jacob's trouble. We talking about divine judgment of the Lord, man. Nobody can run from this. People so used to caught up on running and getting away from judgment of people on earth. They forgot about divine judgment. You can't run from me. How about Shem Yahushai, man? Let's finish this. To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written, this honor have all his saints praised. These people will get drugged out of those bunkers and go into captivity. But as we see it's happening, they building themselves bunkers for the purpose of fulfilling prophecy, in the White House, so they ain't got to retreat for. They just, hit the button and just drop down, But I'm going to end it right there. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Chak Wadash, and with that, shalom.